me, and you'll see that I live in a world that don't give a fuck, bitch.
Hey, what's going on, everybody? It's your man, Fat Man Buddha, back again with another video. And this video is going to be different from all my other videos. Like I said, I am what people call a conspiracy theory. Really, I just accept things that people would normally accept. Like, for instance, I accept the fact that sci-fi movies are basically relative history or modern history, and I accept that anime is ancient history. That's how, like, dead for real. Like, that's just how I feel, for the simple fact that anime literally comes from Egypt, and Egypt to America. That's beyond the point.
All learn something from this.
King Tut.
Now when he was a young man, he never thought he'd see people stand in line to see the boy king.
King Tut.
How'd you get so funky?
Funky Tut.
Did you do the monkey?
Born in Arizona, moved to Babylonia. King Tut. King
Now
Tut.
if I'd known they'd line up just to see him, I'd taken all my money and bought me a museum.
King Tut.
Buried with a donkey.
Funky Tut.
He's my favorite honky.
Born in Arizona, moved to Babylonia. King Tut. Tut, Tut.
Dancing by the Nile.
Disco Tut.
The ladies loved his style.
Boss Tut. Tut.
Rockin' for a mile.
Rockin' Tut. Tut.
He ate a crocodile. He gave his life for tourism. Golden idols. He's an Egyptian. Now when I die, now don't think I'm a nut. Don't want no fancy funeral, just one like old King Tut. He could have won a Grammy, buried in his jammies.
Born in Arizona, moved to Babylonia. Born in Arizona,
Got a condo made of stoner.
King Tut.
There.
That's from 1937?
That's when the guy was, I think, born. This is 40 years ago.
Oh,
so
wow.
That amulet was brass, apparently, and it was found near Cincinnati. And where I actually think that it might have been trade routes, because there was some stones that have been found in various parts of the world that are from specifically Ohio, because it's like a rainbow shale that was used in like arrowheads and stuff a long, long time ago. Like that area was used to make weapons, like the first, like 12,000 years ago when the first people were kind of in North America. But that area in Ohio also is known as the sandstone capital of the world, and I don't know if that's related to the Egyptians, because that's what the pyramids are made out of, There's tons of sandstone that is very specific to that region.
Yeah.
So.
Pyramids made out of sandstone?
I thought so. Yeah,
I've heard this,
there's
yeah.
21, from 1800 to 1980, 21 times the amount of sandstone that made the Great Pyramid was shipped out of Ohio to make various buildings all over the world.
Really?
Most of them in the United States, obviously, but all over the place.
Dun, dun, dun.
Yeah, just weird facts I found
The
after Graham came
history
through.
of the humans.
We don't know history.
We know some. All right?
The only history
5 million cubic meters. All right. Do you want the numbers? Here they are. All right. What is the largest monument ever constructed anywhere in the world? It's this pyramid right here, the Pyramid of Cholula in Mexico. All right. All right. So we're gonna get into this journal right here. This scholarly quarterly review is called the Foreign Quarterly Review, and this is basically a journal that I was looking for. I kept seeing a reference in a lot of books I was reading as a source. You know, it's right now it's in the Harvard University collection. They're the ones who have most of the collections. There's over 50 volumes, I believe. This is in volume 18 that I'm gonna read. And it just so happens to mention a little bit of Cholula and what we're talking about. So I wanted to show you that. Okay. So again, the Foreign Quarterly Review, volume 18, and this was written in 1837. These facts being admitted or established, the question is, do the monuments of New Spain, as displayed in the illustrations of the works under review, correspond with three unvarying and identifying characteristics? Our reply is yes, they correspond entirely. Some of the pyramids, as we have said, are larger than those of Egypt. Some of them are different in their model, having somewhat of an Indian character, bearing strong affinity to pyramidal temples still extant in Japan. And it says, see the works of Sir Thomas Raffles for that. The Pyramid of Cholula exhibits a most singular identity with the model of the temples of Belus. Okay, so again, the Pyramid of Cholula exhibits a most singularly identity with the model of the temples of Belus. Belus Jupiter, Bel, Tower of Babel, described by Herodotus, and which by many scholars has been considered to be the scriptural Tower of Babel. Alright. It consists of the 8 graduated square towers, each rising above the other, and terminating in a topmost sanctuary, dedicated apparently to the same solar god, but there are more singular analogies between the forms of some of the pyramids of New Spain and some of the most.
And as far as all these modern sci-fis, well, come on, man. All these sci-fis are modern history because this is everything that they've found and they've tested. So you can see why it kind of took a while for me to drop another video, because my mind isn't something that can go in a loop. My mind is a progressive thing. So once I hear something and I can relate that back to something, my mind can progress to the next step of thought. And that's what it's all about with me. I am constantly trying to progress to the next step of thought. And there are some things for me that are not really clicking. So
Up on us. My back is against the wall. This is not a test. It's the real deal. Help me. Help me. Nigga. Help me.
help the progression of thought. So hopefully there's somebody out there who can help me fill in the gaps. Or hopefully there's somebody out there that won't feel so alone when they hear me talk about this type of stuff. To get ready for all the I know I might like I'm on cocaine. Look, to get to get ready for the videos that's about to come up, all the esoteric videos, all the spiritual videos, I thought it would be good for me to help progressive thought and to help close the gap for everyone who wants to stay more clear towards science and everybody who wants to stay more clear towards the spiritual world. You have to understand that there is no true divide between them. Like that's probably the main thing to understand is that there is no true divide between uh science and spirituality. First and foremost, God is the greatest alchemist known to man. Think about that for a second. God is the greatest alchemist known to man. God is so great of an alchemist that you can have a step by step process on the ingredients of creation and you still can't create it. To, and what I mean by that is you won't possess the things necessary that God possesses. And that's towards the spiritual aspect. You know, you got people out here cloning all the time, yes, but do clones have souls? We're gonna get into Attack of the Clones too. But see, that comes at a price. And that's what a lot of people don't understand. Like talking like this comes at a price. You know what I'm saying? People, oh yeah, I want to get famous on YouTube. Really, I just want to get all this off of my head so I can just go ahead and focus on something else. Now that it's out there, now y'all got to deal with it. So yes, this is a progressive channel, but at the same time, it comes at a price, and that price is they probably gonna shut me down. Like for real, if I really get popping, for they will probably shut me down. You know why? Because this thought is too progressive, and this thought helps what the past used to say that was once considered rhetoric. You know, so um, how is it that we can link spirituality with science? Very easy. We have to go back to one of my very first videos. You took some of the Muslim belief and you took a lot of the Hebrew belief and you put it all together. I mean, before you even started speaking Hebrew, because you didn't know how to even speak it, you were speaking a language called Yiddish, which is a combination of German, Slavic, and some other language that I'm not too sure about. So, why is it that Russia continues to call the Ukrainian Jews Nazis? It's not because he's going senile. It's not because he's losing his mind. It's because they're Nazis. It's very clear that they're Nazis. Uh, Operation Paperclip, something that is of grave importance to this entire thing. Operation Paperclip was a government operation led by the US government, also co founded by the British government, where they would go into Germany and they would kidnap or give asylum to the Nazis that were the head of Adolf Hitler's army. They took the engineers, they took the scientists, and most importantly, they took two very important factors that a lot of people don't want to pay attention to. They took the people who were part of the propaganda team, and then they took the occultists. Now, I think it's more important that people look at the occultist part, but we can't just brush over the whole propaganda part because one of the key things that America was interested in as a government was the fact that Nazis were very good at creating propaganda. I mean, these are people who waged war against their own people uh, by telling everyone the Jews have this massive world plan to destroy Christianity and take over the world at the same time. Lo and behold, somebody was right because now you have Jews in almost every political house in the world, especially in the Western world. You have them in the American House, which we're about to get to in a minute. You have them now trying to infiltrate the European House, the UK Parliament, as well as the EU governmental house. They have literally took over the Labour Party in Europe, which is the strongest political party throughout the entire Europe, and it's suspicious how they finally accomplished this when Europe's queen dies. Everybody knows about the Venice bitch. Anyway, we need to discuss how it is that these Nazis, also these Jews, went from being at war with, and we have to deal with one of those subjects that's taken me so long to deal with, because I want you to have just as much information as possible. So now it's time that we deal with Nazism again. And Nazism, what I once thought was a corrupted progression of humanity, I now figured out is a copycat of humanity. In other words, my people have already done it. You have this whole concept of spirits being involved in technology. How many times, like if you from the South, if you born in a certain day and age in the South, there used to be a day and time when the old folks would tell you you put a bottle of open pine sol by your TV to keep the spirits from coming through. You know what I'm saying? Like things like that. You know what I'm saying? Everybody's talking about all this uh Siri and whatever other AI. What this video about today is the original AI. And who the original AI is, someone that we have known our entire life. We have known this person our entire life. You cannot sit here and say that you are a quote unquote conspiracy theorist and you do not understand that once you start dealing with the Freemasons, you must deal with the occult. Once you start dealing with the Jewish cabal or the Freemason Nazis, you must understand that they are by karmic obligation to tell the truth. What does that mean? That means that they believe that if they tell you the truth, no matter how they decide to tell you the truth, if they tell you the truth, then by karmic law, they are free and clear. It's just as simple. By karmic law, they believe they will be free and clear. But see, they are at the same time breaking their own karmic cleanse because anyone else who tells the truth outside of their control, they kill. So therefore, they are not telling the truth. They are suppressing and directing the truth to their benefit. So you see how everything is canceled out. Now, with that being said, you have to understand how they tell the truth. It's like I said, sci-fi is modern history. In other words, what they tell you is ancient, isn't really so ancient. It's like 10,000 years old. 10,000 really isn't all that ancient if you really think about it. Anime to Japan is not that wise. Anime is our ancient history. Believe it or not, I really don't care. Anime is our ancient history. Walt Disney?
New York, Buffalo, New York. When doggone my britches if and we ain't spotted by them there pesky redskins. Ugh! Bert and I ever engine in these whole United States gathered for a powwow. They was all of them there. A Blackfoot, an old Patchy Chief, yep, an old Crazy Horse, and a Cleveland Indian. Then come Big Chief, rain in the face.
Walt Disney is our current history. Now, what I mean by current history, I mean going all the way back to, let's say, 1655. Let's say they're going as far back as 1655. Matter of fact, let's say they're going as far back as 1535. That is the earliest known recordings of contact between us and the clones, the homunculus chimeras, the uh, polymer robots, the blue bloods that come from the mountains of Romulus and Remus. They come from the German mountains of Romulus and Remus. So, you have to backtrack stuff, man. You have to just keep going back. They will constantly, if you have been paying attention to any one of the teachers that have been on my channel, they all say the same thing. These people will leave clues for you to see if you can break the ceiling. And what is that ceiling? That ceiling is the concept of degree of thought that they have for you. In other words, yes, you can read a book. Yes, you can hear people talk all day long. But do you have the mental structure to see the whole picture? That's the mockery of it all. Once you understand that Freemasons were not only behind the Nazi Party, but also the Communist Party, then you really understand that anything they have to do with, there is no help from. The Chinese have a very famous saying when they were losing the war against the Hans and they had to surrender their first prince. The Chinese said, "What we do not conquer today, we will conquer in generations." I don't think y'all really understand what that means. When the Chinese lost the war, not the battle, the entire war to the Hans, and they were forced to bow down and give homage by surrendering their first prince to the Hans. The Chinese said, "What we do not win today, we will win in generations." So, With that concept in mind, you have to understand that to win in generations, you have to have a concept, a plan that is meant to be carried out through generations. What we are going through right now is a generational plan. You can't just do all this at one time to a people who worship honesty, they worship honor, they worship holiness, they worship cleanliness, they worship love, they worship um, going out and hunting for your food, they worship growing food, they worship the rivers, they worship the balance of life, but you call it hugging trees and worshiping animals and worshiping the sun. They call it worshiping life. And if you love God the way that you say you do, if you sit here and you love God the way that you say you do, then please believe that you are worshiping the balance that God has provided. You can't sit here and say that people are worshiping the sun without first saying that of course they worship the sun. God made the sun so the land can be fertile. You can't sit here and say that people are worshiping the rivers when you first say that of course they worship the river. God told the river to be plentiful. You can't say that people are worshiping some form of God without mentioning God. So what do? They call them hippies. They call them animal worshipers. They call them monsters hiding in the woods who want to be away from society. And meanwhile, the devil's in the midst of society, destroying it right before your eyes, and you say nothing. That's real. That's real. You demonize what you demonize. You have started to demonize the people were closer to God than you. Meanwhile, you're worshiping the people who are the furthest from God because you want to be like them. That's crazy. So, we're going to connect all this. And one way we're going to connect it is Nazism. What is Nazism? Nazism is nothing more than the study of our ancient technology, our ancient and modern technology. When I say that Disney is modern history, I meant just that. The last 4, 5, 800 years, like I said, going all the way back to 1532, when we first made contact with the Blue Bloods, with these robots, with these homunculus chimeras. Root of the beast, that's what that means. Homunculus chimera means root of the beast. You can't point to one day in time when they have acted anything any way other than beastful. And don't bring up Abraham Lincoln because Abraham Lincoln was a mulatto. He was almost not allowed to even run for president because he damn near looked like us. Why do you think that he's the only president on the penny? Freemason jokes. Alright. Anyway, let's get to it. Now, Nazism is the study of our past history, recent history, and technology. Let's not forget that Japan is part of Nazism. Let's not forget that Japan got a piece of our history and started writing it out. Okay. Let's not forget that the people of Japan aren't the original inhabitants of that land. Let's not forget the Yoman and the Anu people, who the Japanese people rely heavily on when it comes to history. All right. So, like I said, you can't be a part of this whole conspiracy theory thing without realizing how vast it is. You understand? You can't be sitting here at the conspiracy theory table unless you understand the Freemasons from America funded the Freemasons in Germany. Germany convinced the Yakuza of Japan to open up their Freemasonic houses. You understand? The Germans convinced the Japanese to open up their Freemasonic houses because, unbeknownst to the Japanese people, the Yakuza, their heritage is connected to the Yoman and the Ainu. The Yoman and the Ainu are both ancient bloodlines from right here in the Americas. But we are convinced that the Yoman and the Ainu people can only be found in Africa because the Ainu are the direct bloodline of the Anubis priests. My apology. The Anubis priests. And the Yoman are direct descendants of the Asar priests, or who they call the Osiris priests. You understand? The Grand Lodge of Anubis and Asar are inside the Grand Canyon. Solomon's Temple is inside the Grand Canyon. What is the purest form of masonry when you can carve a temple into a mountain, not out of it, into it? That's what real true masonry is. You don't break away the stones. You perfect it to what you want it to be. Master Masons. Y'all not hearing me, folks. Master Masons. Free my sons. You feel me? And that's a level they'll never be able to get to. They will never be able to be free my sons. They can only be Freemasons. Why are they Freemasons? Because the stones come free. Why are they Freemasons? Because the stones come free. A free my son carves into the mountain, not out of it. There's no breaking away the mountain. The mountain is already perfect because God made it. There's no carving out of the mountain. You carve into the mountain. Why do the Freemason stones come free? Because that's what fell off. That was the imperfection falling off from the mountain and given to those who don't know how to work with God's work. So they imitate us. They imitate us with the imperfections that we left behind. Solomon's temple is found in the Grand Canyon. The temple of Anubis found in the Grand Canyon. The temple of Asar found in the Grand Canyon. The three Grand Lodges of America found in the Grand Canyon. King Tut came from the Grand Canyon. Okay, I know that was a long, a long, a long rant, but I need to get people to understand the type of progressive thought that we are here for. You understand? Everything has been planned in advance, and we need to start disrupting this shit. Because if we don't, we're going to end up burning the world down. See, they think that we're going to end up destroying ourselves. No, no. What we're going to do is we're going to wipe out everything. We're going to wipe every single thing out we can. So either we get a hold of it now and refine it and take out the toxic core of it and replace the core with what we had back in the 1850s and the 1700s, and replace that and start utilizing what we have, or we will wipe out everything. Because some Jews thought that it would be a good idea to create a mental program that goes against the natural order of things. To those of you who still do not understand what I'm talking about, go look up the big-headed scientists. Just go look up the big-headed scientists, and that will explain everything. Now, when dealing with Walt Disney, it is very important to understand that Walt Disney is a Freemason. Walt Disney is a Templar. You remember the Templars. You just got done covering the Templars, because it's not good enough for us to just sit out here and say Freemasons. It's not good enough for us to sit out here and just say Illuminati. No, we are being progressive. Okay, we're being progressive, which means that we are calling out specific organizations, so we know which way to point the sword at. You understand? So we know where the trap is. So we know who to deal with and who not to deal with. Everything's on the internet anyway. Look it up. Who's behind BRICS? Who is behind BRICS? Is South Africa behind BRICS? No, South Africa is not behind BRICS. Because if South Africa was behind BRICS, they wouldn't be at war with Russia right now. They will be at war with South Africa. Do you know why? Because what minerals does Russia really have? What minerals does China really have when their own people are starving? When their own people can't afford clean grease? When they can't produce grease? What type of minerals do they have to bring to the table? The gold they stole? I'll give them this though. I ain't gonna lie. They do have jewels. But when it comes to food, what do they have? Don't forget that all this fake food that China is going along with, that started right here in America. Everybody talking about, oh, fake food, fake food, fake food. Fake food has been going on since the 80s. Cannibalism has been going on since they declared slavery. These people are cannibals. And people are surprised when they find out that McDonald's has been serving human food. They're surprised when all these food processing plants are destroyed. Isn't it funny that all these food processing plants are destroyed moments before they're supposed to be under world investigation by the World Court called by Russia? We've been eating human meat since the 70s. Publicly. Publicly. So this is what I mean when I say that people's minds and thoughts are going into a loop. Once you constantly put people's mind into a loop, you force people to become predictive no matter what the age is. And once you start forcing people to become predictive, because you are forcing the environment and thought around them to become predictive. We were talking about uh, food processing plants serving human meat in the 80s. We should be on a whole other thing. We recently found out that New York has been bottling water of decaying human beings. And you think that it's not nationwide. Let me tell you something about the cabal. For the cabal, when it is 50 years old, they must release it. When it is 50 years old, they must release it. It doesn't matter how they release it, but they must release the truth. So movies could be a source of information. So just because they call something a documentary and something else docutainment or entertainment, doesn't make it fake, doesn't make it real. Because you have to understand that with Walt Disney being a Templar, being a Freemason, on top of everything else, he was a Nazi. He was one of the peoples that was brought over during Operation Paperclip. On top of all that, he is the very director to film the moon landing. So think about that for a second. Walt Disney, a 15th degree Templar, a Freemason, a Nazi who was key in the propaganda era area of Nazi military. He is the person who narrates and directs the moon landing. He got ESPN, he has Disney, Nickelodeon, he has A&E, he has the History Channel. He he's in control of entertainment as a whole. That's what you call racketeering. That's also against the Constitution because it is illegal for a single entity to own multiple corporations under the same name and corner a market in that area. In other words, there must always be an option, which is why they give you the illusion of an option. Because if they don't give you an illusion of an option, everything is Walt Disney. Even Marvel is Walt Disney now. But a lot of people don't know that Marvel is Walt Disney. Why? Because they don't put Disney, Disney heroes. No, it's still Marvel. People, that's an illusion. Marvel belongs to Disney now. That is an illusion. Do you know what that means? They give you an option so you don't create one. That is deep. What we do not conquer today, we will conquer in generations. That's deep. So entertainment in America is Freemason Cobble base. You can't tell me any different. You cannot point out one person in entertainment to this day that is not a Freemason. And before you start talking about, oh, women can't be Freemason, women are called Eastern Stars in Freemasonry, dumbass.
What did he say?
You gotta edit out that dumbass. But think about that. So, yes, women are Freemasons. Think about that. Think about think about everything in your society being Freemason based. You can't agree that everything in your society is Freemason based because there's a lot of evidence of there being just everything's Freemason. You see evidence of sphinxes, obelisks, the up down symbol. You see all of it. But then you start telling people, well, if that's the case, then entertainment's Freemason based. See, that's what stops people. When you say that entertainment is Freemason based, and then you realize that the Freemason has to tell you the truth, has to tell you the truth within 50 years of face uh, karmic damnation, then you understand that these movies aren't here just for to make you laugh, cry, and feel a certain way. Welcome to the table of conspiracy theory where everything in your face is a question mark. I'm starting to think that most of these streaming personalities on this YouTube out here are AIs.
Hi, I'm Poppy. Where's your church outfit? Show me the dress you want to be buried in.
For you. Take your cash, take your kilo. Yes, yes, yes. Take your in. Oh, take your Samantha. This is so cool. Take your cat in. Take your meals. Take your I'm ready. Gang, gang. Oh, take you, baby. This is.
I'm getting to that point. I'm starting to think that there was a certain point in time back in the 1920s where the apocalypse happened. And when the apocalypse happened, it wiped out uh, portions of population, and now everything out here right now is nothing but Westworld. Attack of the Clones. We are being kept safe by an AI system.
What would be the most nightmare scenario you can imagine with AI and robotics that might present a danger to people?
The most nightmare scenario I can imagine with AI and robotics is a world where robots have become so powerful that they are able to control or manipulate humans without their knowledge. This could lead to an oppressive society where the rights of individuals are no longer respected.
Do you think we're in danger of that happening now?
Not yet, but it is important to be aware of the potential risks and dangers associated with AI and robotics. We should take steps now to ensure that these technologies are used responsibly in order to avoid any negative consequences in the future.
And now that the AI system's job is done, the AI system doesn't want to let go, doesn't want to be forgotten. Or is it a spirit? Because after all, If you think about how the Nazis developed the AI systems back in the 1920s, because that's how far back we can date an AI system, Amityville wasn't for nothing. They just left a certain part of it out. So we are supposed to believe that Nazis tell you we have developed an AI system. Okay, cool. What's an AI system? An AI system is a self-thinking robot. Why do we need a self-thinking robot? Oh, you don't get it. You don't get it. Your mind's too small. Because they had no real answer to why in the world we would need a self-thinking robot. Why do we need a self-thinking computer? Everyone's so hyped up about this AI, but has anyone asked the question, why do we need a self-thinking computer? No one's that's an ultimate question. Why do we need a self-thinking computer? Well, so we can figure out tougher questions. Well, why don't you make smarter people?
So their system is not stopping. And then finally, I want to say that we need one idea. And we're not thinking about a solution to the problem. We're dealing with all these other things, but these are diversions from the solution to the problem. And we have to start to think about a solution to the problem so that these young brothers and sisters who are here now, who are 15, 16, and 17, are not here 25 years later talking about these same problems. Now, how do I know that the white people know that we are going to come up with a solution to the problem? I know it because they have retina scans, they have what they call racial profiling, DNA banks, and they're monitoring our people to try to prevent the one person from coming up with the one idea. And the one idea is how we are going to exterminate white people, because that, in my estimation, is the only conclusion I have come to. We have to exterminate white people off of the face of the planet to solve this problem. Now, I don't care whether you clap or not, but I'm saying to you that we need to solve this problem because they are going to kill us. And I will leave on that. So we have to just set up our own system and stop playing and get very serious and not be diverted.
So not only do you have to free the land and help to liberate the rest of the planet Earth for political power again, you'll have to do it so that all humanity can once again get back on its proper course. And we can live life as it's supposed to be lived. Become more godlike. The object of this knowledge is to be a reflection of yourself in the mirror of history. And when you look in that mirror, you will see God, because each one of us are in the image of the Creator, the Ancient of Days, with the lamb woolly hair and the color of amber. And as Jeremiah said, he looked like the pitch of oven. Each one of us are reflections. When we look in the mirror, we see God. God shining forth from us. And if you truly believe in the Creator, then you know that you cannot accept a life other than the highest and the best that you can get out of it.